Hello, it's Dr. Christine Arsenault, also known as Tina, coming to you live today to talk about the terrain of your body and why your terrain is so important and why overcoming Lyme is about more than just killing off the bacteria. So excited to bring this topic to you today. And if you are here live, go ahead and say hi in the comments so I can see you. If you're catching the replay, go ahead and say hi, say replay so I know that you were here. And if you do have any questions as we go along, feel free to comment. I'll also circle back to this when I'm done to catch any comments that people had watching the replay. So if you're here live, say hi in the comments. I can see you. So yeah, I'm going to talk about the terrain of the body and why that is important and why it's often overlooked. A lot of times people focus just on killing the bacteria, but it takes more than that to overcome Lyme. And I had my own journey with Lyme disease. It took 20 years for me to get a diagnosis. Then the treatment length for me was about 4 years, 4 years of really this immersive healing process where I had to think about health a lot differently. I had to unlearn some of the things I had learned in my pharmacy program as I became a pharmacist. So, traditional medicine and pharmacy school, we're taught if there's a bacteria that's not supposed to be there, you kill it with antibiotics. End of story. Well, as you all know in this group, if you're here, you know it's not that simple. And so I had to really shift my thinking and look at the body as a whole. And in a way, it made sense because even in pharmacy school, we're taught pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. So, how the medication acts on the body and how the body acts on the medication. It's both, it's not just one. Even there's some drugs that are prodrugs, which means they're not even active until your body activates them. So, how your body responds to things is just as important as the thing itself and what it's doing in your body. It's a two-way street. So you have to look at both of them. And so I really had to unlearn a lot of things, think about things a lot differently than what we're taught in Western medicine and just the typical textbook cases of Lyme disease or really infectious disease in general. And so we're going to explore the terrain theory versus the germ theory today and how you can use this to help you in your journey and why you really need this holistic approach in order to overcome Lyme, not just overcome it, but fully eradicate it. Yes, I said fully eradicate because I do believe that's possible. I know not everybody believes that's possible, but I have seen it with myself. I've seen it with other people. I believe it's possible when you address the terrain and you make your body so that organisms just can't live. They just can't inhabit the terrain of your body. So, we know that Lyme disease is complex. It's not as simple as just treating it with an antibiotic. These are stealth bacteria. They're designed to evade our immune system. They're designed to hide from antibiotics. It's a lot more complicated than you would think if you didn't know anything about it. Or if you heard, the classic textbook case of Lyme disease, you get a rash, you take doxycycline, then you're cured. So we know it's not that simple. And we know that co-infections make it even more complicated. So typically when you get bit by a tick, you are getting more than just one bacteria transmitted. Also, as your immune system gets suppressed, gets bogged down, it's easier for these opportunistic infections to take over. So it's common to have more than one infection. In fact, I don't think I've ever had a client who only had Lyme disease and that was it, unless that was the only testing they did, but we could tell there was other things there. And you have to think about things like mold that can cause inflammation and suppress your immune system, make it even harder to heal. And the Lyme bacteria thrives on inflammation. So we have to keep all of these things in mind and really come from a comprehensive approach and a holistic strategy that's customized to your specific situation, the co-infections you have, the things that are in your environment, toxins, stress, past traumas, all of it. So you have to look at all of it. You have to look at the terrain. So briefly, the terrain theory versus germ theory. So most of you probably heard of Pasteur and his germ theory. And basically, the theory is if you have a bacteria that's not supposed to be there, you kill it. The germ causes the disease. Well, he had a rival called Beauchamp who had something different called the terrain theory, where he said, no, it's the terrain of your body. It's these diseased tissues, this that are attracting these organisms to be there. And you have to address the terrain, not just the germ. And so they were rivals, they were in different political parties. And really, Pasteur had more financial backing, and his outlook won. But the thing is, it's not that one is right and one is wrong, it's that you need both. And it was even rumored that on Pasteur's deathbed, he admitted that Beauchamp was right and it really is about the terrain. So you have to look at your body and making it so that these organisms cannot inhabit, that they cannot live, that they cannot survive. Um, so what all goes into the terrain of the body? So your immune system is designed to take care of these bacteria, these pathogens that are not supposed to be there. So if your immune system is hindered, if it's weakened, the organisms are going to be able to thrive more so than if your immune system was functioning optimally. So that's a big part of it. If you're watching, feel free to say hi in the comments so I can see who's here. If you have any questions as we go along, let me know and I will answer them as we go through this. So let's explore some of the things that cause our terrain to be out of balance. So the question is really, why was this bacteria allowed to flourish? What is out of balance in my body that allowed this to even be possible? And how can I correct that? While also killing the bacteria. I'm not saying that you cannot kill the bacteria, but you also have to address the imbalances that allowed it to be there and to flourish in the first place. So a big one is gut issues. So our immune system is housed in our gut. And I mean, we have this tube from mouth to anus. It's designed to keep pathogens out that aren't supposed to be there. So if there's damage in that integrity, if you have leaky gut, then your food particles are going to go out into your bloodstream. Your body's going to see those as invaders and attack them. Your immune system is going to be overactive and out of whack. So your gut health is really important. Also, your gut is needed to eliminate any die-off. So you can't just come in and kill. If you have a weak host, your immune system is suppressed, you have all these infections, you have leaky gut, you have all these imbalances, all this inflammation, all these issues in your body, and you just come in and kill and kill and kill, then you have all this die-off products that your body needs to excrete. And if your gut isn't in good condition, it's not going to be able to excrete those. So then you just have all this dead bacteria floating around, driving more inflammation, causing your immune system to react to it, and you can't get rid of it. You end up having Herx reactions where you feel worse. And that's why you really need to address the gut before you can make much progress with killing things off, especially if gut issues are a big issue for you. Chronic inflammation is another one. So Lyme bacteria loves inflammation. So if you've got chronic inflammation, it's going to thrive in that environment. So you need to get inflammation in your body down. Compromised immune system. So if your immune system is compromised, find out why, see if you can reverse those things. If it's caused by toxins in your environment, see if you can remove those toxins, if you can have detox strategies in place so that you can start to build your immune system back up so it can do what it's supposed to do and take care of these pathogens. And really, addressing these imbalances is what the key is to reaching full recovery. So I'm not talking about remission. I don't use the word remission. I don't like the word remission. I feel like that's not giving us, your healing starts with belief. So if you don't even have the belief that you can fully eradicate this and get fully well, it's not going to happen for you. So I don't use the word remission for myself. That was never my goal. That was never in my vocabulary. I feel like I have fully eradicated the bacteria. And I know it's really not provable one way or another because the testing isn't 100% accurate. So there's no way I could really prove it either way. But I know that despite stressors in my life, despite having a crappy diet when I was moving once a month for a whole year, despite all these stressors and things, I never had symptoms come back. I never worried that the bacteria would come back because I had addressed the terrain of my body. And I knew that the bacteria was gone and it wasn't coming back because the environment that I made in my body wouldn't allow for that to happen, even if I wasn't perfectly healthy with the lifestyle changes that I made at certain points and the stressors and things that were in my life that were out of control. So, stress is one of the things that is really important to address that affects the terrain of our body. So, even our thoughts and our feelings, those are all part of the terrain as well, which is why a holistic mind, body, spirit approach is so important and really needs to be part of the journey in order to overcome this for good. I've seen a lot of people who have their symptoms go away. They feel like they made progress. They have the infection under control, but then they have a big stressor years later and it comes back because the terrain of their body wasn't fully addressed and their stress management techniques were not, they really didn't learn how to deal with the stress. They didn't learn the tools and techniques in order to keep their body in the parasympathetic state when it needed to be. So there's just limitations when you only focus on symptoms, when you only focus on killing the bacteria. You really have to look at the root cause and getting your body back into balance. Um, and there is a certain order that you want to do things as well. So if you're just, again, if you're just killing off the bacteria and you're not addressing the terrain, you're not going to get to the place of full recovery, fully, completely eradicating the bacteria. So you have to do both. You have to start building up your terrain. And that also makes the killing a lot easier. So I treated for about 4 years and I didn't do any killing until the last part of my treatment. The whole first part of my treatment was building up my gut, building up resilience, mind body techniques, a holistic approach, diet changes, detox, all of these things to strengthen me and get my immune system to do what it was supposed to do. And then I really didn't need that much killing by the end of it because my body was in good enough shape that it was now recognizing and responding to these bacteria, these stealth pathogens. So, they're smart, they hide from antibiotics, they hide from our immune system. But I believe that our God given immune system is even smarter. And if we give our body the tools that it needs, we can overcome this. Um, Let me just check my notes here. Okay, the order of addressing things. Now, it will depend, on your individual factors, your circumstances, what you have done, haven't done already. But the general gist of it, what I see that works best is step one is supporting your mitochondria. So you need the mitochondria to be supported in order to turn on the drainage pathways, which is step two, opening up your drainage pathways. If you don't have your mitochondria supported, you're not going to be able to successfully do that, which is why it's step one. Also, when you support your mitochondria, that gives you more energy so that it's just preparing your body for what's to come and getting you feeling a little bit better. So you have to open up your drainage pathways because, again, you're just going to get clogged. You're just going to get bogged down by all of these pathogens if you're just killing, killing, killing and have nowhere to go. So you have to be open. You have to be detoxing adequately. Decreasing inflammation, that's really happening throughout. The thing about that is it makes your body harder for these pathogens to live, but it also makes your symptoms more manageable. If you can get inflammation down, that tends to help with brain fog, depression, anxiety, pain. So getting inflammation down is always a win. Then you want to support the gut because, again, you have to support the gut first so you can adequately eliminate the things that you are killing. You have to address that leaky gut or you're just going to kind of get stuck in that cycle. You want to address any parasites, anything like that that's going on in the gut. In general, you want to address the bigger pathogens before you get to the smaller ones. So the parasites are bigger. They'll hold on to the Lyme bacteria. So if you treat Lyme first, but you have parasites, then as you kill the parasites, they could release Lyme and have you be reinfected. So that's why starting with the parasites tends to be more effective. Typically, we also want to address mold before Lyme, that the mold just causes so much inflammation and suppression of the immune system that it does make it a lot harder to heal if you don't take care of that. But again, it's not always like a 1, 2, 3 step. It's not always completely clear cut because a lot of the treatments are doing more than one thing and you have to look at the whole picture and you have to look at, all the toxicities in somebody's life. So You want to address the gut. You want to support the immune system. You want to detox. So you want to get rid of heavy metals, mycotoxins, chemicals, things that are affecting your immune system. Again, we want to just gradually bring that immune system up by getting rid of all these toxins so that it can do what it's meant to do and get rid of these pathogens. And the more we can support that, the easier it is to actually kill off the bugs. You don't have to come in with these big guns doing all this killing if you take care of the terrain first and you do it in the right order. And then, once you've done a lot of that work, then you can do the deeper immune support to address those chronic infections, those viruses, the Lyme, the co-infections that you have. And when you support your immune system, you're killing things off just by getting your immune system to work. So you it makes the killing protocols a lot more effective because you now have your body on your side to take care of these pathogens. So basically, that's how you build a strong foundation is you improve your gut health, you implement a robust detox protocol, you support the immune system, you learn how to manage stress, and you just really focus on that resiliency in your body so that the Lyme bacteria can't survive in the environment that you create. And just want to again reinforce how important the mind body connection is and how your thoughts and your emotions also make up the terrain of your body. So, if you have limiting beliefs, if you have stress, these all cause inflammation in your body. And again, we don't want that because that's what the Lyme bacteria thrives on. So, we want to do everything that we can. We want to hit it from all angles so that we can make our terrain as healthy as possible so that they cannot survive. So I recommend using practical techniques to shift into a healing mindset, shift into the parasympathetic state where your body's able to rest and digest and heal. I use a process called positive intelligence coaching to reprogram the conscious mind, which gets us out of those limiting beliefs and into that healing mindset. And I use a process called wisdom center technology, which is a form of hypnosis to reprogram the subconscious mind. Because we have a lot of stored traumas, blocks, and obstacles in our subconscious mind that are preventing us from healing. So, if we can remove those simply, easily, without having to relive the traumas, that's going to really propel us forward, getting into that parasympathetic state where we can heal. And then there's also external factors that affect the terrain of your body. So again, I mentioned molds. If you have, toxins in your environment like that, that's directly going to affect your ability to heal, your living conditions. But also, do you love where you live? So I can't tell you how many times I work with the client, they end up moving or wanting to move because they realize they're really not happy where they are. And that was part of my journey too. I was living in Michigan at the time I was diagnosed, and I ended up moving to California partly because I thought I could find better Lyme literate doctors out there and better support out there. I knew that I needed a team as much as I already knew I had already been in healthcare for several years. I knew that I was going to need a team on my side. I also had a really hard time in the winters in Michigan. My body hurt so bad in the winter. And I knew that a warmer climate was going to be just feel a lot better for my body and just feel like more of a healing environment for me. And ultimately, I just didn't love where I was and I needed a change. And so I do commonly see that where people make big changes in their life. And if it's not their environment, it's their career. That's the other place I really see it. So, is your career fulfilling you? Are you happy with what you're doing? Or do you hate your life? Do you hate your career? Because that's going to affect your ability to heal. And sometimes when we have a big healing crisis, a big diagnosis like this, it's just an opportunity to really look at our life and look at what's not serving us. And I do feel like my career was part of that. I've been a pharmacist for 15 years, but I was never really aligned with my profession. I've always been more holistic minded and just dispensing pharmaceuticals all day and masking symptoms instead of getting to the root cause didn't feel authentic to me. And so throughout my journey, I shifted my career into more and more holistic opportunities. I managed a compounding pharmacy, and now I don't work in the pharmacy at all. I only help people with Lyme. And I feel like this is the work that I'm doing that fulfills me. And I think that being stuck in a career that I didn't like was not serving my healing. And I think there was patterns of people pleasing around that, choosing a career based on what others wanted me to do. And it didn't feel like it was really what I wanted to do. And so boundaries and people pleasing and all of these things affect our healing. So we have to really think of it in a holistic way. Relationships, that's the other big one. So if there's anything toxic in your life, it could be a relationship that's going to affect your ability to heal. So all of these are part of your terrain, your internal world, your external world. And you can't just think of it as a bacteria that needs to be killed. You have to look at your whole life in a more comprehensive way and really see what is out of balance for you. I think that pretty much sums up what I have. I'm gonna stay on here for a minute in case anybody has a question. I see there's a couple people watching live, and if you're watching the replay, feel free to go ahead and pop in some questions too. I'll circle back to this and see if I can answer them. And so, yeah, what I really want to leave you with is that it really takes a holistic approach that takes the terrain of your body into account, and to only think about killing off the bacteria is really not serving you. You have to go deeper than that and think about all of the different layers that affect your health, especially if this is chronic for you, if you've been dealing with it for a long time. Hi, Carol. Good to see you. Let me know if you have any questions or any comments, anything you want to share about your own journey, any insights. Thanks for being here. And I will mention too, next week I'll be doing a training on Zoom. So, back by popular demand is my free from flare ups training on how to fully recover from Lyme. That one's a bit different, it's a bit interactive. So, you can bring some crayons or coloring pencils to that. That one is on Zoom, so you will have to register on Zoom for that. But I'll put a reminder in this group as well. But I had a lot of people who couldn't make it to the last one and wanted me to redo it. So I will be doing that next week, same time, Zoom instead of in here. All right, I'm going to hold on just for a minute in case Carol or anybody else has a question, and then I'm going to pop off. I don't know if you can hear my roosters in the background. All right, well, it doesn't look like there's any questions at this moment. You're welcome, Carol. Good to see you. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your day, and feel free to pop questions in the comments when you're watching the replay, and I will circle back to them. Bye.